Oh no. Oh hey, I guess it's on. So I. Oh, perfect. Oh, this is still on. Hold on, yeah. Let me fix this. So you guys can see, I recorded my first podcast. Yo, I recorded my first podcast. I wonder if that goes away. Let's just download it. Mm, there you go. Bounce machine walk. Bounce machine walk. So we'll let that download, and yeah, we'll post it on YouTube, and then we will post it on Spotify and all those. Oh man, I'm so excited! This is so much fun. I just talking to people. We're just talking to people. We're just learning, and it was good catching up with a friend and with a colleague. I haven't seen her like in months. The good thing about the product marketing team that was on at Unitas is that we were all like very, I don't know, it was a fun time. Like we all supported each other. We're all in the chat, like cheering each other on until almost presenting, giving feedback. We were each other's cheerleaders. And yeah, it's good catching up. I'm excited. I'm excited how it's gonna turn out. I think it shouldn't be that huge. It's loud outside. shouldn't be that huge of a lift to upload to YouTube for the long form content, but then for the short form content, it's probably gonna take a while because I really want to focus on editing it and making it right. Um, oh, I'm dropping frames. Wait, hold on. Oh, that's why. Hold on. There you go. I switched to a different Wi-Fi. It was on the 2.4. I switched to the 5.8, and now it's a lot better. I think it messed up. Here, let me cancel, and then let me download it again. There we go. That's better. 1193 drop frames. And they probably didn't hear me. So I had my first podcast today. I had my friend Courtney Pellegrini, and she was a product marketing manager when I was at Unitas. We were a team of like 5 or 6 people. There was Marsha, Rosanna, Michaela, myself, Amanda. Oh, I should have Amanda on too. And then yeah, we're all product marketing managers there. I was an associate product marketing manager. They were all product marketing managers. And I still remember the time where when I left for Unitas, I was texting Courtney and I was like saying goodbye because I was also moving from San Jose to LA, and I was texting her saying that like I believe like in your growth in your career. I definitely see you and you're operating as like a senior product marketing manager. Like it's just a matter of time before they make you that, and then like within like a year, they promoted her to senior product marketing manager, and I was like, I knew it, I knew it. So I'm glad that she got the recognition and the promotion, and it was interesting to hear how much has changed from that transition from PMM to senior PMM. Okay, now okay, it's done downloading. So let's stop the yap and hopefully everything works.
Associate level PMM.
No way. There's no way that there's no way. You got to be kidding me. No. There's shut up. There's no way that didn't record the audio. Bro. Hold on, hold on. Ain't no way. Hold on.
Yeah, as a whole, and often more strategic thinking as you kind of start to piece the whole narrative together versus just focusing on
I
one
got so scared.
specific product line. And then I think the other thing that I would call out is the difference in just scope of the project and stakeholder management. So at the PMM level, out my
Well, Courtney, thank you again for joining this first episode of Meet the Stakeholders. You are a stakeholder, so I'm glad you're here. And so I guess a couple of housekeeping. You're okay with it being recorded? Obviously, it's already recording.
I am good with that. Yeah.
Cool. So I plan to also distribute this on LinkedIn and YouTube and other social media, just like the full version on YouTube, and then also smaller clips throughout like TikTok and arts and Instagram and all that. Is that cool?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm excited.
Awesome, yeah. Why does the audio quality sound so bad? Is it not using my, wait. Dang, that's crazy. Okay, well, at least it recorded. I'm not gonna complain. At least it did. Is it recording right now? Oh no. Okay, cool. And so let's get to it. Dude, I can't believe I I have that on. It's crazy because because this wasn't showing up for me. Dude, I'm excited. Yo, what the fuck? I launched a podcast. Well, I mean, still gotta record it and all that, but like, yo, oh my gosh, I hope the ups. Taking notes. I'm definitely taking notes as I edit the video. am I doing? Okay. Um, CapCut. Oh, I hate the ad, dude. The ad, dude. Oh wait, I have the I don't use this. Hold up. Sorry, because we're big boys and we use the application. So we don't need to use this today. Dude, there's so much to do. Honestly, like if it's not recording something like a video, if it's not recording a podcast, if it's not editing, if it's not, I don't know, reaching out to people, DMing them on LinkedIn, trying to get people on the podcast, if it's not editing something on the website, and it's creating a blog post, creating a template. There's so much to do. There's no like little time in the day. So little time. I'm starting to like think like what's the biggest bang for my buck? This is inbound. I mean, I guess out. But the thing is that like I'm not really. Oh, I hurt myself. Okay, I want to review this because I think we're gonna have to edit this because it just seems unprofessional. Oh, oh, I guess I'll just have to redo it then. Okie dokie. Today, that's just one. Okay. Boom. Boom. Okay, so I have it right here. Dude, it's literally like what what does it have that on? I guess I could do like a banner and put like gtmlabs.io, but this is so funny, dude. Because it didn't show up on it didn't show up on my screen. I didn't even know I was recording that.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have my wine.
I have my wine too. I'm also drinking red tonight.
Right,
I
this is the only thing.
right? I love it, especially this time of year. Your setup is so cool. Where are you?
So here we have the whole video, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna first edit this video just to have like a rough draft. We're gonna take the transcript and then put it into ChatGPT and then have it give us content to make around this. And it's gonna be like a small little clip, like just like a hook, right? Just like a hook. I'm thinking. Because if this is the case, we could just use a website that will Honestly, the only thing that I don't like about CapCut is that the scroll wheel doesn't scroll. Oh wait, maybe it's this? Oh. Hold on. Ignore that I just did that. I know it's here somewhere. I literally found it last time. Media first, player first, adjustment first. Okay, here. Wait, scroll. Oh. Oh, there we go. Woo! And then what does this do? Okay.
That's so cool. Where are you?
I'm in Argentina right now. I'm in Argentina. I'm in Buenos Aires, and then in Buenos Aires, it's like a little, like a, not a town, but it's like I'm gonna.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have my wine.
I have my wine too. I'm also drinking red tonight.
Right, that's the only thing I can drink.
Right? I love it, especially this time of year. Your setup is so cool. Where are you?
I'm in Argentina right now. I'm in Argentina. I'm in Buenos Aires, and then in Buenos Aires, it's like a little, like a, not a town, but it's like I'm gonna describe it. It's kind of like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like it's a nice, safe area where a lot of tourists come. A lot of expats live here, and a lot of digital nomads usually come here.
Yeah.
It's really safe. A caveat that I have seen two robberies here, but other than that, it's pretty
Oh,
safe. Bro.
thing. So that will be fun. And Anthony and I actually recently got a family. A lot of them have never been there, so it'll be like a bit of a destination wedding. So we're excited.
By any chance, is it gonna be in line with Mardi Gras?
uh,
Oh, that's cool. Cool. Oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely lean on you for that. That sounds awesome. Vegas is like the
I'm on the
joining this first episode of Meet the State. Yeah, yeah, definitely will. All right, yeah. Well, what do you think? Joining. Yeah, yeah, definitely will. All right, yeah. Well, what do you think? You
tell me to where to go.
yeah, yeah, definitely will.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have my wine.
I have my wine too. I'm also drinking red tonight.
Right,
I
this is the only thing I can drink.
I love it, especially this time of year. Your setup is so cool. Where are you?
I'm in the. I think get rid of all this. What the? Oh, great. Shut up. Where's X? Select clip and select area. It's definitely this one. So there's split mode, select mode. Wait, where's X? I think 3 is gonna be B C D E F G H S. Oh, I think it's this. So I think it's always been like you just do. Okay. All right. Um, all right. Yeah. Well, Corey, thank you again for joining this first episode of Meet the Stakeholders. Yeah. Well, Corey, thank you again for joining this first episode of Meet the Stakeholders. Corey, thank you again for joining this first episode of Meet the Stakeholders. You are a stakeholder, so glad you're here. And so I guess a couple of housekeeping. You're okay with it being recorded? Obviously, it's already recording. But,
I am
and
good
the
with that.
distribution.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So I plan to also distribute this on for joining the episode of Meet the Stakeholder. You are a stakeholder, so I'm glad you're here. And just like cut this right here. And so I guess a couple of housekeeping. You're okay with it being recorded? Obviously, it's already recording. But,
I am
and
good
the
with that.
distribution.
Yeah.
Cool. So I plan to also distribute this on LinkedIn and YouTube and other social media, just like the full version on YouTube, and then also smaller clips throughout like TikTok and shorts and Instagram and all that. Is that cool?
Yeah, that sounds great. Excited.
Awesome, yeah. I feel like it's been a long. Damn, what the? You're here. I feel like it's been you're here. I feel like it's been a long time coming. Everyone's always asked like, "Are you do a podcast or do you
I know.
on Netflix?"
You have had your cool setup with all of your like microphone and everything. That's what I know. Oh, I've been waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right, so let's get started. Yeah. 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 Awesome. All right, so let's get started. I usually should have like an intro, but I'll probably just do that post edit and then just replicate it. Okay, so the first question. The first. Dang, hold on. Now this is annoying. I need to figure out how I had it before. My left, I was like, they definitely see.
first question, Courtney, is first off, actually, congratulations on making senior product marketing manager. I always knew you had. I knew you were so like. Remember, I told you that text when I left. And I was like, I definitely see you.
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, that's so nice. And yeah, it's been obviously a journey to get here. But if you want to, I don't know how you want to do it, but I'm happy to give like a little bit of background about myself, I guess, and like my career path to be as long as I've known you. So I've been waiting for this. Excited.
The first question. The first question.
Excited.
The first question, Courtney, is first off is first off, actually, congratulations on making senior product marketing manager. I always knew. I knew you were so like. Remember, I told you that text when I left. And I was like, I definitely see you.
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, that's nice. And yeah, it's definitely been obviously a journey to get here, but if you want to, I don't know how you want to do it, but I'm happy to give like a little bit of background about like myself, I guess, and like your career path to be like being a PMM. before we get into the questions, or however you want to do it.
Yes, I'm always excited to see how people got into product marketing. It's always interesting to hear that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm happy to share. So, yeah, currently a senior product marketing manager at a tech company. We work to address social determinants of health. It's a software platform that really a lot of different organizations, like healthcare providers, government organizations, nonprofits, can use to connect people to important resources in the community, things like food support and housing assistance. So they use the technology to not only like connect people to programs, but also track what happened after people leave the hospital, for example. So if I'm like a care coordinator and I referred somebody to a food pantry to receive a food box, did they actually get that food box? And if not, why didn't they get it? So making sure that people are really getting the right resources at the right time. But just to back up a step, that's what I'm doing now. But I really started out my career as a marketing coordinator, and I was working at the time for a small tech startup, and they had a software platform that helped people start and scale nonprofit organizations. So it was also kind of like within the social impact business realm, or like tech for good, you could call it. I was always really drawn to that type of work and wanted to figure out kind of my place in it. So at the time, I was really on a very small team and wearing all the marketing hats, as I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with. I was doing like everything from branding to email marketing to content generation. But what I really enjoyed the most, I would say, is and what I was honestly pretty lucky to get experience in early on in my career was working really closely with our product engineering teams. So at that place, we had an offshore development team. And because the company was so small and I was using the product so often to try to figure out how to market it and how to talk about it, I was invited to kind of sit in on the daily stand-ups with the product team as they worked on new features and built out the early version of the platform. And at the time, we didn't have product managers. And so my colleague and I were kind of the ones filling that role and helping the team figure out like what features to prioritize and doing testing and QA and giving input on design. So I was lucky to kind of be in that early on and realized that I really enjoyed working closely with product teams to kind of bring solutions to life. So after that, I moved to a healthcare tech startup that was also a small company, basically like patient safety and compliance software for healthcare professionals. And then after that, I moved to the current place. So that's the social determinants of health company. And it's been really fun. And I've been learning a lot about being a mom and a lot of great people. So that's kind of how I got here.
That's awesome. Wow, I didn't know you had very hands-on experience working with like, a product team, engineering team. I think it's very interesting because how I started was kind of the opposite. I had a really close working relationship with the sales team and not so much the product team. But now, the current company I'm at, it's the opposite. I'm really close to the product engineering team. So it's very interesting to see continue that. So
Yeah.
I actually, so one of the things I'm curious about is there, since you become, like from going from PMM to senior PMM, is there a project or a moment that kind of redefined your approach to product marketing, and how has your strategy development process evolved with your role at the company and the company's growth?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's kind of a few things that stand out. First, just kind of noting that there's definitely a lot of similarities between the different levels of product marketing, whether you're at the associate level, PMM, et cetera, you're really ideally always going to be working pretty cross-functionally with a lot of different teams. So whether that's like obviously product, marketing, sales, customer success, you're always going to be really cross-functional and involved in like positioning and positioning of a product and thinking about how to make your products resonate with audiences. I would say one of kind of the fundamental differences between a PMM and a senior PMM, at least in my experience, has been the scope of product coverage. So earlier on as a PMM, I did one or two products that had a focus on maybe specific product features. But as I progressed to the senior PMM level, I really more expected to oversee broader categories of products, kind of craft a higher level story that encompass the broader product suite, so to speak. And that type of shift, I think, really requires maybe just a higher level of understanding of the market as a whole, and often more strategic thinking as you kind of start to piece the whole narrative together versus just focusing on one specific product line. And then I think the other thing that I would call out is the difference in just scope of the project and stakeholder management. So at the PMM level, I was often spending a lot of time dealing directly with product launches and working closely with the product teams, which I still do. But at the senior PMM level, I'm often spending a lot more of my time working across the broader organization. So working with things like, or teams like sales enablement and user support, and working a lot more closely with the rest of the marketing team on campaigns and kind of activities to bring more brand or public awareness to the products. So that's kind of how I think about it. And then I guess you asked about like in terms of a moment that defined my approach to product marketing. I would definitely say it's that strategic element. So working really closely with the broader team to bring a product to life. So an example that comes to mind recently that I worked on was about a new messaging feature. So the ability for users to chat with each other within the platform. So that sounds like a simple thing. You know, obviously we're all familiar with the ability to chat, but a lot of work went into it, kind of sure that not only that our users were prepared for and excited about this feature, but also that our internal teams, you know, were enabled. They knew how to talk about it with the different audiences that they supported. So for me, it was working really closely with not only the product teams, but also with sales and enablement and customer success. And so when I think about kind of to the value in that, it wasn't just for that particular feature, it wasn't just that now you can talk to users within the platform. It's, okay, now you can talk to users within the platform, and that's important because it results in, you know, Jane Doe getting her referral at a food pantry accepted, which means that she can put food on the table tonight and not tomorrow. So I think that kind of value-based messaging is really powerful, and not only for your customers and your users, but also for the broader market. And when you're talking to people who maybe don't know who you are, who your company is yet. So those are just kind of some of the things that stand out to me recently in terms of projects I worked on and the broader approach, I think.
I think it's also important to highlight at United there's the beneficiaries, then there's like the users, and then there's the buyers, right? So those are having messaging to be encompassing. Like how does the messaging speak to the benefit for the users talking to the beneficiaries, but then also the buyers? So the buyer side might be something more like compliant and security, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good call out. And I think as a PMM, you're often kind of thinking, like I said, strategically about it might be the same feature, it might be the same product, but how do you message that differently to your different types of audiences and buyers? It's you know, it's not always easy to do, but
yeah. And you said an interesting word, cross-functional, which leads me to my next question is, so leading cross-functional teams comes with its challenges. And so how do you manage diverse personalities? How do you advocate for your team through managing up and determine the right people for going more to stages while maintaining alignment on product marketing goals?
yeah, that's a really good question. I think it starts with really just getting to know the people that you're working with, especially when you're joining a new team. So I did this a lot when I joined the current place. It was super helpful for me to just set up intro calls with folks across the company and just really kind of start to establish a rapport and get to know who you're working with. And then that way later on, you know, if you're
Wait, I need to like.
on a project, it's not, you know, reaching out to them and they're saying, if you're coming across a challenge or you help on a project, it's not, you know, really kind of, so I did this a lot when I joined the current place. It was super helpful for me to just set. Yeah, that's a really great question. I think it starts with really just getting to know the people that you're working with, especially when you're joining a new team. So I did this a lot when I joined the current place. It was super helpful for me to just set up intro calls with folks across the company and just really kind of start to establish a rapport and get to know who you're working with. And then that way later on, you know, if you're coming up with a challenge or you need help on a project, it's you're not, you know, reaching out to them and they're saying, "Who are you?" It's not the first time they're hearing of you, and hopefully they know like a little bit about who you are and what you do. And then I would say in terms of managing up and advocating for your team, I think for me personally, I found that just over communicating at times can be really helpful, especially if you're early on in the stages of a project. So if something is unclear or if someone on your team is maybe not quite understanding a component of a project, it's better to speak up about that early on versus, you know, waiting until you're weeks or months into it to say something. And I think the same thing kind of goes in the other direction in terms of communicating with stakeholders. You know, if you're creating materials or you're wanting someone's input on messaging, then make sure people know that and really ask for their help because, you know, you want to be visible about the work that you're doing and what your team is doing too. And then I guess in terms of kind of the managing relationships and personalities piece, I think that goes back to the part about establishing with people early on. So I'm not saying you have to be like the best of friends with them or anything like that, but just knowing who they are as a person, what they like to do, and even like if you can, if you live in the same city, being able to meet up with them after work for dinner or for a drink can go a long way. And I would say it's a lot easier to bring up challenges or things that you need help with as a colleague if you're already comfortable talking with that person. And we talked a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you talked a little bit about the go-to-market stages. Just a thought on that. It really depends on the product.
Bro, this is like perfect. Like I have to edit like basically nothing for the long form. I do wanna like Google if there's people that have focused doing like retention based editing for podcasts. I wonder if that's like a thing. So I'm just like sending in right now. Uh, let's see. Return. I feel like no, it can't. You can't do it. You can't do it for podcasts like the long form ones because if you think about it, it'd be so fucking annoying as a listener if you're like on Spotify listening to this podcast and like in the gym and you hear like if you hear like a crumpling of paper, like whooshes, that'd be hell of annoying. I'd be like, yo, what the I'm out. I'm checking out. But but if it's like short form content, I feel like it's definitely forgivable. I'm just trying to think of like why. It's probably because long form content, you're kind of like, you guys you want to put something on, and while you do like an activity or a hobby or a chore, and in short form, you're like consuming, like you're sitting there and now, like you're really like engaged. Whereas long form, you kind of, I don't know. It's interesting. What?
We asked Colin and Samir how they made a viral documentary on YouTube.
That was a constant conversation between the three of us. I think really it was just saying, this is what we want it to be. This is what we want the audience to accept. Let's just say screw it and trust them to do that.
We made it for the person who was gonna get to the end. As we were editing and making decisions, it was like, this is for the person who's gonna get to the end. So we don't have to worry about like, what if they only watch 20%?
We're putting this piece out that we made on this platform. We think it's really good. If you'd like to watch it, that would be awesome.
We asked Colin and Samir how they made a viral documentary on YouTube.
That was a constant conversation between the three of us. I think really it was just saying, this is what we want it to be. This is what we want the audience to accept. Let's just say screw it and trust them to do that.
We made it for the person who was gonna get to the end. As we were editing and making decisions, it was like, this is for the person who's gonna get to the end. So we don't have to worry about like, what if...
When you record with Riverside, you can now edit all of your content with our text-based editor. You can select entire sentences, entire words, or just find that perfect moment, set the in and out point. You can see the transcription live update as you make those changes, and then export that clip for Reels or TikTok. You can change the format up here. You can go 16:9 for YouTube, square, or vertical 9:16. And you can even search the transcription using the magnifying glass, search for something you need to cut out, or search for that really funny or engaging moment, and then you're ready to share that clip too. Click the export button right here. You can export up to 4K video.
I'm going to let this plugin edit my entire video podcast. Let's see how it goes. Just pick the frequency of cuts, name your speakers, assign each voice to the correct video, click on multicam edit, and watch it go. This isn't perfect. I still need to do minor adjustments, but it could potentially save you so much time. Okay, so if you want to see more tools like this, let me know. Bye. No, I looked down. I'm going to let this plugin edit my entire video podcast. Let's see how it goes. Just pick the frequency of cuts, name your speakers, assign each voice to the correct video, click on multicam edit, and watch it go.
This storytelling technique will boost your audience retention no matter what kind of content you make. Long videos, short videos, writing, or podcasts. Start with the end of the story to grab your audience attention. Let me illustrate the power of this with a personal story. If I start with how the story begins, it would be something like, I was at a bar in New York City with my friends. Yes, it may spark some interest, but what if I start my story with, let me tell you about that time I was almost a victim of a crime in the streets of New York City. See how much more powerful this is? I bet you want to know more about the story. You only have a few seconds with your viewer before they swipe up to watch another video. Using this technique will increase your watch time and audience retention, which is what we want ultimately. If you want to know the end of the story, let me know in the comments below. This is the Pod Sounds Cool. Follow for more tips. This storytelling technique will boost your audience retention no matter what kind of content you make. Long videos, short videos, writing, or podcasts. Start with the end of the story to grab your audience attention. Let me illustrate the power of this with a personal story. If I start...
Retention has been the worst thing to come through our edit suite.
If you want to know what's next for YouTube, look to Michelle Kare.
All the best performing videos on YouTube have those three elements.
Michelle has trained with the army, survived the hottest place on earth, and made me interested in the politics of a cheer squad. I don't think you really do understand the quality that you produce.
Maybe not.
Michelle creates spectacle-based YouTube videos, which, yes, is the trend.
but hers are the best because of her experience in traditional media. And instead of retention, her team focuses on experiential storytelling.
6 seconds, you can tell a full story.
Yeah, story is king. Like, if we're not telling a good story, why are we doing it?
This storytelling is brought to life by her director, Garrett, and her editor, Silas.
Who are better than me at everything else. And now we have this really cool synergy among the three of us.
This team is setting the example for other creators.
And their secret to good videos is surprisingly obvious. Storytelling. You came definitely from the traditional background, and you went and looked at YouTube and went, okay, how can I bring some of the traditional language into YouTube? And you kind of created this really fascinating hybrid of that type of content. You have that TV studio quality with the YouTube authenticity, which for me, in my opinion, is actually some of the best content on YouTube.
Dang, well, thanks. Holy cow. Someone clip that. I'm gonna make it an NFT and buy it for myself. Oh my gosh. Really, it's a team effort. I'm so glad this is the first podcast where we get to have Garrett and Silas also be a part of the conversation. So thanks for inviting all of us here, because oftentimes I'm on these podcasts and I'm like, it's a team effort and there's so many amazing people and it's Garrett and Silas too. And to hear from them, I think is going to be really valuable to the audience as well, rather than just translated through me.
That is exactly what it is. Michelle Carre is, of course, with the talent, but as the brand, it would be naive to assume we do everything.
I think I feel the traditional director role when we work together. Sometimes creative director role is my official title. If we come up with an idea, Michelle and I will sort of pitch around multiple stories that can work within that concept. So I'll pitch 10 of them, and then Michelle's like, no, this is the one that feels real. This is the one I feel like we can do. And once you feel good about it, and I feel good about being able to tell that story, we'll pass it to Silas, and Silas will say if he feels like he can make that happen. We are capturing things as they happen, as they really do happen, but we go in shooting with a very specific idea in mind, and we're not cheating or fudging the footage. It's here's a couple of different ways this story could be told. Let's make sure some of it starts happening that way when we're on camera. If we're realizing that story's not getting captured, my job as director is either to make it try to happen, or we pivot the story entirely. And that's happened before.
We've pivoted lots of times.
We've been doing a shoot. The story just isn't happening the way we thought it was. It was actually becoming disingenuous to tell it that way. And so we pivoted to a story that felt more genuine. We've done that on the day of the shoot sometimes.
How do you guys collaborate in post to make sure that you have that story? And if you don't, what do you do?
I mean, one example is definitely chess. Well, it was a 6-month, right? Approximately.
I think it was 8 months of footage.
Oh, wow.
This was an example where Sean episode, it took 8 months. Michelle's training for a chess tournament. And then what we thought was the finale, which is a chess tournament where Michelle is playing chess against Mr. Beast and Pokemon and all these big creators. We thought, that's the epic finale. Ended up being our midpoint reversal. If we're dealing with Snyder's Beats, Save the Cat, standard classic story structure. Our finale became our midpoint, which was the high that Michelle thought that she wanted, this whole character arc, this whole journey. But when she reached it, she realized, that's not actually what was fulfilling. What was fulfilling to her was her original goal, which was to get an ELO rating 1,000 in chess, which is a little milestone that she really wanted. And so, like what Silas was saying, the new finale, the new climax became her actually hitting that after the tournament and mustering the determination to want to continue playing chess just to hit that personal goal, even though there was no finale tournament on the line anymore.
And that's happened a few times where we're in the edit, we're like, this is a fine video. But when I personally really tap down deep into my own soul, I'm like, I know I have to get back in there and go further. And so, that's happened on a few different videos where we extend the project, which I'm sure drives Silas insane, and me, and Garrett.
Well, that's also always, the diving back in is always the most compelling part of the actual story, like in real movies where you have the end of Act 2 and then the character goes to victory. So I think in the cases where we have done that, it works that way for a reason.
For me, documentary is improv filmmaking or improv narrative. Like, we don't get to sit down and write a feature-length film and then go out and shoot that exact scene as it was supposed to be shot. Like, we are handed these scraps and little bits, and now we have to sit down and go, okay, how can we build a story out of the little scraps that were just handed to us? And that to me is a really exciting challenge that I don't know. That's why I love it.
Where most creators would stop, you guys always just keep going, which is really, really just as a huge testament to the content that you make and the patience that you have while making it as well. Because everybody on YouTube is so fearful of what happens if they don't upload or what happens if they're not consistent. And you guys are like, shoot, this story isn't as good as we can make it. So how can we take?
Okay.
The launch. But as a general framework, I would say typically in the early stages of a launch, you're really in the research phase. So you're trying to understand, what is it that we're building, who are we building it for, and why does that? So typically that's going to involve your product team, product marketing for sure, your customer or like user research or experience teams, and then often customer success, if you're involved in existing customers. And then when you get a little bit further in the work and you're more towards like the executing phase and you're ready to launch something, you're probably working on, a launch plan and your positioning and your messaging and market. So that's where you start to work more with teams like sales enablement and user support. And if you have a pricing team, the broader marketing team even is a big one for things like branding and press and content development. There's all this kind of work that goes in behind the scenes, and you're not maybe working with all of these teams for every launch. Hopefully you're not working with all of these teams for every single launch. You're gonna obviously be spending your time and energy on something that's a big new product launch versus something that is like a small feature improvement. But I guess as a general framework in terms of teams to collaborate with, I find it really helpful.
Yeah, that's really important. I know for me personally, when I first joined, I remember Rosanna reached out to me like the moment I got access to Slack, and
Why was I talking about that? Oh, dude.
For every launch, hopefully you're not working with. And if you have a pricing team, product marketing for sure, your customer or like user research or experience teams, and then often customer success, if you're involved in existing customers. And then when you get a little bit further in the work and you're more towards like the execute. What is it that we're building? Who are we building it for? And I'm just gonna say, you talked a little bit about the go-to-market, and if you live in the same city, being able. So, I'm not saying you have to be like the best of friends with them, and even like if you can, for work, for dinner, or for a drink with them, you just a framework. I would say is so you're trying to understand, involve your product team, product marketing for sure, for success. if you're involving existing customers. And then when you get a little bit further in the work and you're more towards like the executing phase and you're ready to launch.
What the? Stop. Yo, stop. What the heck is... They're just stuck there. Oh, it's on dock, that's why. Bloopers.
From door salesman to digital don't. Yo, this is funny. From door salesman to digital entrepreneur. Fuck. Yo, I can't even do the title word. From doors.
Oh, I think it's because it's
Something, you're probably working on, you know.
where's the brand kit? Yeah, whatever.
Launch plan and your positioning and your messaging in the market. So that's where you start to work more with teams like sales enablement and user support. And if you have a pricing team, the broader marketing team even is a big one for things like branding and press and content development. There's all this kind of work that within behind the scenes, and you know, you're not maybe working with all of these teams for every launch. Hopefully you're not working with all of these teams for every launch. You're gonna obviously be spending more of your time and energy on something that's a big new product launch versus something that is like a small feature enhancement. But I guess as a general framework in terms of teams to collaborate with, I find that really helpful.
Yeah, that's really important. I know for me personally, when I first joined, I remember Rosanna reached out to me like the moment I got access to Slack, and that building relationship is so important. I know for the product marketing team, it really felt like a strong unit. We always be supporting each other, be each other's cheerleaders. If it's like you're leading a sales enablement session, you know, we're all in the chat cheering you on. I think that's really important. That collaboration, a fostering of almost like a culture within that small team of our PMM is really important. And yeah, and so I've always noticed that you have like a knack for fostering strong internal networks. Can you walk us through maybe how collaborate? Like, what are some techniques that you've used personally and you've seen success with that maybe others could adopt?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think, you know, we talked a little bit already about the nature of collaboration and how important it is to really establish good relationships with people early on in the process. You know, even when you first join a team, as much as you can, just reaching out to people and, you know, saying, hi, like I just joined, this is what, you know, what I'm doing here. I would love to connect. That's one thing. And then I think another tip I have that's worked really well for me, at least, is to just really pay attention to how different types of people like to communicate. So some people, for instance, are really great at like slacking back and forth, or some people want to hop on a call to talk through things, and some people like project management tools. You know, they want everything in Asana. Whatever it is, I think everybody's different, but having some level of adaptability in the way that you collaborate is really important. And then in the, you know, kind of positioning and messaging piece, that's really collaborative too. I think something I've had to learn as a PMM is that while, you know, other teams should definitely provide input on the message, and kind of creative support with it. As the PMM, you really own the and kind of creative support with it. As the PMM, you really own the positioning and messaging. So you should be driving that work and, of course, working well with other teams to get it right, but just really taking ownership of it if you can. And then something else I kind of like to consider is just like allowing yourself the right time and space to really focus on that work. I think it can be easy to, you know, skip over, rush through it if you're having a really busy day, but just blocking your time on your calendar even is helpful for me. And scheduling working sessions with other teams can be really helpful to have that space to brainstorm. And when I think about just, I guess, like collaborating well with other people when doing that, I would say definitely like pay attention to just for yourself, even the times of day or like the working environment that you feel the most creative to do that work. Like for me, I really prefer to do messaging early on in the morning, and you know it's quiet, and I have my coffee, and I can sit down and think about it. I'm not, you know, at the end of the day bogged down and tired after meetings. I think that's really important to consider, not only for yourself, but also when you're working with other people. So, you know, if you're doing a working session with others on your team, maybe don't schedule it at the end of the day when people are tired. You can avoid it, you know, so just being, I think, mindful of people's working style, but also energy levels and things they have going on in their world is really helpful.
Yeah, during those times, those late Friday, you know, 5 p.m.
I know. It's like the worst time of day to like be creative.
I know.
Yeah.
I know too. Speaking of creativity, I saw a podcast with Andrew Huberman, who's like a neuroscientist, and there's been studies done that apparently if you are in a building that's where the height or like the ceiling is low, is really good for analytical work, like math and calculations, and if you're in a building that's like where the it's really big, open space, and tall, like a big roof, like a long roof. That's really good for creativity and to spark all of those juices. So I haven't tried it yet because I'm limited to where I am now.
That's so cool. I've heard that too about like spaces with windows and even like colors. I feel like this is like a feng shui thing, but I don't know. I feel like I read somewhere that like red is a good color for like cooking. It makes you hungry, and blue is something that's good for writing. So who knows? Maybe that's something to try too.
We'll definitely see that. We can definitely see that. Your eyes are sensory, right? So you pick up a certain color or wavelength acting as a part of your brain. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, we'll have to try it.
And then also you spoke about messaging and collaborating. I remember we used to collaborate on messaging and like go slide by slide, and you really had a knack for bringing in people and then having their opinions, giving their voice, and making them feel matter. Have you, in terms of messaging, have you adopted any new techniques, or still using Google Slides, or what kind of approach do you use now for messaging?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, my personal style is I definitely like to just like have something on a virtual piece of paper. So whether that's a Google Doc or a slide deck, just like a scratch pad really to get down your thoughts and, an area to brainstorm. There's a couple templates I like to use where when you're thinking about positioning, I make like a little chart and I say, okay, like broad statement about the market itself, like what are we seeing, where are things trending, and then who are we talking to, and what challenge are they trying to address, and where does our solution come in, like what are we solving for?
Oh, bro, I'm getting tired already, sleepy. Do I have to do this every single time, like rewatch the podcast? I mean, it's just because I just feel so cringe. It's just so cringe to hear my own voice. I just don't know. I don't like hearing my own voice. You know what? There's an actor. I don't remember who it was. Was it Johnny Depp? I think it was Johnny Depp. It was someone, maybe like Tom Cruise. I don't know. Someone never watches their movies. I think it was Johnny Depp. I'm gonna make this bold claim. Johnny Depp, the actor, has never watched a single one of his movies. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. I want to be him for podcasts. How do I make that happen? Someone make that happen. Just hire an editor. Dude, there's like 5 likes on this. It's crazy.
And then at the end, there's like a piece about, unlike the competitor, here are the differentiators. So that's kind of basic framework I like to use, and I often do that in Simplify
Bro,
or,
the recording. It's still there, bro. The recording is still there. That's crazy. The recording. It's just so funny because when I was in the interview or in the podcast talking to Courtney, I did not see that on my screen. That was not on my screen. I don't know why that's there, but it's just so funny that it's still there. Like 20 minutes in, the viewers are gonna be like, why is that button still there? Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Bro, amateur mistake. I'm such a noob at this.
great in. So that's typically where I start. And then I would say recently, kind of in terms of new tools, and I'm sure this one that a lot of us are using now. I know AI is like a very hot topic. So I've started to recently use things like ChatGPT to even just like bounce ideas around and just get a starting point for drafts sometimes. And I actually really often use it as a tool to collaborate better, like with people, not even necessarily on the work itself, but proofreading a Slack or an email and saying things like, how do I make this more direct or more friendly? Whatever tone it is that I'm trying to express, I found that really helpful. And there's another one, Grammarly, that I started using recently. And they're awesome. It's like an AI-based writing assistant. And so it helps you with things like, typos, like basic grammar stuff, but also your tone and like how you can communicate something more effectively. And they have this awesome tool that is like a newsletter, I think actually, but it uses like their backend data and analytics. And so they send you a weekly summary report of like, here's how your writing was in the last week. And so you can actually see like this week you were 10% more friendly in your writing or 5% less direct. And it's very cool. I've never really used something like that before. I just recently started using it. And it's very interesting to see kind of like how that changes over time, especially depending on, like what project you're working on or even the people that you're working with. Feels like that pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah, they they gamified it kind of, where it's like last week you're here and this week you're 10% more.
Yeah, it's like, and it has a little arrow. It's like increase icon. Like,
oh no, that's a
decrease
icon.
It's fun though, because it really does make you want to like,
Is it me or like when I talk, does it lower her?
how you're writing.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. I'm gonna have to try that. I have stopped using really like the Grammarly. Because I used to use the web app a lot, or like the actual page. Now I just use the Chrome extension. Super convenient using. Yeah, and I also use ChatGPT. I use it a lot for SEO now because I don't know. I'm not an SEO expert. Never learned this. It's one of those things where as a marketer, it's like it takes so long to get results where you can just skip that. Like let's just do direct, like copywriting. Like let's just get the result really quickly. Yeah, and so I'm using it now to like how do I make this like headline more SEO optimized? Like spit something out. Like, interesting. Okay. Yeah, and also really good for like FAQs as well. Yeah.
Okay. Like to generate the questions or?
Yeah, I just generate the questions. If you actually answer, it'll like completely answer it incorrectly because it doesn't know your point. It doesn't know your
Yeah.
You're gonna like same with yeah, I use that a lot, and then also I do the same thing with like if I need to communicate an update or whether it's for a project or there's like miscommunication that I'm feeling, something's happening in Slack, I'll just use the app. I'll speak into the ChatGPT app, and I'll just be like, okay, turn my mumblings into coherent, articulate Slack notification, and use top-down communication. And then boom, 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 boom. It's like, okay.
Wow, that's That's amazing. Okay, I need to try that.
Yeah. Also, too, they just released, I think today, they have a phone app, which is they just updated today, which is super cool because the phone app now, and I think also the web app can do web browsing. It can create images, and then also you can import like data files, I believe. So what's super cool is it's so chat-like, but on the phone, where you're just speaking your thoughts, and the ChatGPT is replying to you super quick, like 5 seconds, and it's like talking to another human, and you can just talk about like your day and like what's been going on at work and like some of your like project updates, and it's really like it becomes an assistant, and you can use that to like, okay, ChatGPT, who do I need to reach out to, who to be informed. Like it's super relatable to our jobs, because, especially when working like cross-functionally and collaboratively. You may not see something as important, but maybe to a salesperson, it's extremely important. And with that context of I work with sales, customer success, product team, ChatGPT can remind you like, hey, you mentioned this. This might be interesting for X team, which is like, oh, cool. I didn't think about that.
That is amazing. Yeah, I never thought about that kind of use case for it in terms of like, I guess, in the context and picking out different pieces that might be relevant to different groups of people, even just internally. Because you're right, like, often a salesperson is going to care about something very different than a marketing person or a customer success person or a product person. And I think the nature of a PM is you're working.
I just did the nose thing at the same time as in the video.
So closely with all of those teams, but you're often kind of the go-between or the conduit between everyone. And it's with any type of communication, like that's hard when you're working with a bunch of different stakeholders. So very interesting to see how we can use AI to kind of take that.
Yeah. And so last question. So on building influence and foster relationships.
Being so between everyone, and it's with any type of communication, you could use AI to.
It requires you to influence. So on build.
That's hard with a bunch of different stakeholders. Very interesting to see how.
Yeah. And so
I to kind of facilitate that.
Yeah. And so yeah. Yeah. And so last question. So on building influence and foster relationships in a role that's often required, or in a role that. So on building influence and foster relationships. In a role that's often required, or a role that often, or in a role that often, a role that often, or in a role that often. Or in a role that in a role that often that often requires you to, or in a role that often, or in a, or in a role that often, or in a role that often, or in a role that often, or in a role that often requires you to influence without authority and navigate opposite. Authority and navigate office politics. Or in a role that often requires you to influence without authority and navigate office politics, what strategies have you found effective for building relationships and being diplomatic, especially when, you know, when it's essential?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, well, first of all, as a PMM, I will say that you will probably often find yourself in that type of a situation, just, given the nature of the role and how often we work with other people, other teams, like even with leadership. I guess I'll touch on the building influence piece of it first. So I think as a PMM, you are maybe often in situations where you're not the most senior person in the room. But that does not mean, at all that people shouldn't respect you or listen to what you have to do. So I think for me, it's been really important to just try to voice my opinion and just really trust myself, that my voice and opinions matter. And that's something I've had to really learn, and something that I'm honestly still working on is not qualifying my statements. And this is actually something that I've been using, like ChatGPT and other tools like that, to kind of help me with. And so, when I say not qualifying my statements, I'm meaning like making something less strong or negating what you're saying by adding necessary detail or explanation to it. So words like basically, sort of, maybe, I think, and even phrases like I used to say this a lot. I would say sorry for bothering you, or whenever you get a chance, like stuff like that. I think often for me, those things were said with the intention of being nice and being, a good teammate, but I think they can also come at the risk of people not seeing you in a position of authority. So that's just an instance, I think, where I'm doing it now, I think, where language really matters. And you also asked about some strategies for being diplomatic, in situations where you might need to approach it with some tact. I think that's a tough one. I would always say just like leading with kindness and recognizing that sometimes people don't come to work as their best selves, and that's part of being human. And I would say that part of our jobs, especially as PMMs, is to let people to listen first and let people express their feelings and frustrations, and really come at it from an approach of it being us against the problem and not us against each other. I think that can be tough sometimes in working dynamics, but we all want to do well at our jobs, and hopefully we're all working towards the same common goals. So really keeping that in the back of your mind as much as possible. And I think the last thing I would touch on, you mentioned kind of, office politics, and that type of thing can often happen. I think that's unfortunately going to be part of any working environment. And
I'm still trying to figure out where the brand stuff is. I have no idea where it is. There's no like. Maybe it's on the web app. Am I tripping? Oh, you know what? This is a perfect place to import. Bruh. I think I have one over here.
from an approach, really come at it from an approach of it being us against stuff like that. I think often for me, those things were said with the intention of being nice and being stuff like that. I think often for me, those things were said with the intention of being nice and being, a good teammate, but I think they can also come at the risk of people not seeing you in a position of authority. So that's just an instance, I think, where I'm doing it now, I think, where language really matters. And you also asked about some strategies for being diplomatic, in situations.
I think it's or the last cut, right? Yeah.
But in a role that often, yeah. And so last question. So on building influence and foster relationships. Or in a role, yeah. And so last question.
Maybe here? Does that
To hit pause, no problem. We'll be here when you're ready to press play again. So on building influence and foster relationships. Or in a role,
AI.
Oh, menace.
yeah. And
Wait, I want to see this full screen. I want to see this full screen. Bro, I'm a menace.
We use AI to kind of facilitate that.
yeah. And so last question. Today's episode is sponsored by GTMLabs.io, our very own venture. So good that it's claimed an ad slot for itself. At GTM Labs, we see product marketing a little bit differently. It's not just about the product you're selling, but the story you tell. It's the art of capturing attention, engaging minds, and sparking conversations. Our mission is simple, to elevate your product from 1 in a million to 1 of a kind. GTMLabs.io offers the strategic support.
The I is wrong.
When you
It's
need
capitalized.
without the commitment to full-time hiring. Flexible, subscription-based
Bro, I
assistance
can't
that fits
look
just
at myself.
fine. And the best part is it's hassle-free, no endless back and forth, no discovery call. Simply choose your tier, sign up, and we're ready to roll. And if you need to hit pause, no problem. We'll be here when you're ready to press play again. So on building influence and foster relationships, in a role that often requires you to influence without authority and navigate office politics, what strategies have you found
It's
effective
still
in building
there, dude.
relationships and being diplomatic, especially when,
You know what I should do? I should crop this out and then add it to here. So they're like, wait, is this on my computer? And then they're like try to toggle it off. No. That'd be psychopathic.
But in a role that often requires you to influence with authority and navigate office politics, what strategies have you found effective for building relationships and being diplomatic, especially when, when it's essential?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, well, first of all, as a PMM, I will say that you will probably often find yourself in that type of a situation, just, given the nature of the role and how often we work with other people, other teams, like even with leadership. I guess I'll touch on the building influence piece of it first. So I think as a PMM, you are maybe often in situations where you're not the most senior person in the room. But that does not mean, at all that people shouldn't respect you or listen to what you have to do. So I think for me, it's been really important to just try to voice my opinion and just really trust myself, that my voice and opinions matter. And that's something I've had to really learn, and something that I'm honestly still working on is not qualifying my statements. And this is actually something that I've been using, like ChatGPT and other tools like that, to kind of help me with. And so, when I say not qualifying my statements, I'm meaning like making something less strong or negating what you're saying by adding necessary detail or explanation to it.
I wonder if
like basically leadership. I guess I'll touch on the building influence piece of it first. So I think
I'm curious if there was a reaction that I made that she saw, where she's like, "Oh, I don't think he knows what qualifying statements mean, so let me go back and explain this. She's really smart. I feel she's extremely emotionally intelligent. I feel like she picked up. I think because I'm a very like expressive person facially, face wise, and so maybe she saw that and she was like, oh.
As a PMM, you
Let me see.
are maybe often in situations where you're not the most senior person in. But that does not mean, at all that people shouldn't respect you or listen to what you have to do. So I think for me, it's been really important to just try to voice my opinion and just really trust myself, that my voice and opinions matter. And that's something I've had to really learn, and something that I'm honestly still working on is not qualifying my statements. And this is actually something that I've been using, like ChatGPT and other tools like that to kind of.
So my eyes lifted up. Interesting. You see that? Oh, I can't go back easily.
Have helped me with. And so, when I say not qualifying my statements, I'm meaning like making something that's less strong or negating what you're saying by adding.
I think she saw my expression. She was like, okay, let me define it.
Unnecessary detail or explanation to it. So words like basically, sort of, maybe, I think, and even phrases like I used to say this a lot. I would say sorry for bothering you, or whenever you get a chance, like stuff like that. I think often for me, those things were said with the intention of being nice and being, a good teammate, but I think they can also come at the risk of people not seeing you in a position of authority. So that's just an instance, I think, where I'm doing it now, I think, where language really matters. And you also asked about some strategies for being diplomatic, in situations where you might need to approach it with some tact. I think that's a tough one. I would always say just like leading with kindness and recognizing that sometimes people don't come to work as their best selves, and that's part of being human. And I would say that part of our jobs, especially as PMMs, is to let people to listen first and let people express their feelings and frustrations, and really come at it from an approach of it being us against the problem and not us against each other. And I think that can be tough sometimes in working dynamics, but we all want to do well at our jobs, and hopefully we're all working towards the same common goals. So really keeping that in the back of your mind as much as possible. And I think the last thing I would touch on, you mentioned kind of, office politics, and that type of thing can often happen. I think unfortunately going to be part of any working environment, and some places are better than others about that. But something I really try to ground myself in, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but at the end of the day, it is just a job. And, like, not to discount all the great things that we're talking about and all of the great work that we as PMMs are doing. It's all really inspiring, but, just not losing sight of the fact that, it is work, and your health and your well-being and the relationships that you have with your family and your friends are really the most important thing. So I heard a quote somewhere that I always kind of keep in the back of my head when I'm feeling caught up in the politics or the drama, and it says there's no such thing as a marketing emergency. And thank goodness, I feel really glad to be in a position where, I'm not in a job like that. Like, I have so much respect for people who are doctors or they're, emergency responders. Nobody's gonna die, hopefully, at launch, or my messaging isn't resonating completely perfectly. I think that's, the exciting thing about being a PMM is that there's always room for growth and change and adapting to new ideas. And, it is really a wonderful role to be in, and it's great to be able to work with so many smart people and learn new things every day. But that is what I would say to anybody who is thinking about that.
What was the quote? Marketing is not an emergency.
Marketing, there is no such thing as a marketing emergency.
Let's see. Interesting. I like that. I like that.
It keeps me grounded.
I'm gonna keep that in my pocket. No such thing as
I know. That's helpful.
Speaking on quotes, I used to, before I got into really marketing, when I was like just getting out of, I was still in college. I used to work at a school and take care of kids. And there was this one kid that was always a troublemaker. And he got into like an altercation with like a girl. And the next day I was talking to him. I was like, aren't you, I forget the context, but he told me something that I still remember to this day. He said, with the most positive attitude, he's like, no, because yesterday was yesterday, today's today, and tomorrow's a new day. And I was like, hey.
Wow.
Yeah.
How profound. I love that.
It was a good day. Yeah, so like going back, what I took from that and applying it to working with, a lot of different personalities is, you can get off on the wrong foot sometimes. I think that it's just important to, like you said, ground yourself and think about you're on the same team. It's okay to disagree, but just realize that you're on the same team, you're working for the same goal, and tomorrow is a chance to start off on the right foot. That's what I took from that quote from him.
I love that. Love that. Yeah, tomorrow's a new day. You can always, come at it with a fresh perspective. And I think that's really one of the joys of being in product marketing is, you have that ability to change and evolve and work with other teams and have creative ideas. So I love that. That is a very good motto for sure.
Well, I think that concludes the first episode of The Stakeholders. But Cody, I'm going to turn over to you. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, this is so great. I mean, I feel like I've been learning a lot. You. Be curious to see kind of where you're going from here. What are your goals for podcasts and other things that you're excited to learn about?
Yeah, I like that question because I didn't know how to answer it. I just want to really document my journey. I truly believe that the future is online, and whatever it is that you're doing, there's some shape and form that you can document that process or document that journey. I'm just thinking about all of the product marketers who are now like a global VP of product marketing. And they're probably thinking, man, I wish I would have documented my process when I was first in college, getting into tech or becoming an associate product marketing manager, just to have like that reference point and see the growth. It's like Steve Jobs said, like you can't connect the dots moving forward. It's not until you look back where you can start to connect the dots. That's when the quote always sticks with me. I don't know why, but it's like I like to see the growth that I've been able to achieve. The failures, the good and the bad. And I also realize I love talking to people and I love learning from different people. I love being in a place where I'm not the biggest fish in a small pond. I want to be the smallest fish in the big pond. And so I'm the happiest when I'm talking to people and learning something new. And I love it when I can see someone's superpower and just think like, man, how do they do it? That's something that, like speaking to you, like collaboration is, I truly believe is one of your superpowers. Rosanna's power is being very bold, and she's so super good at reading the room and working with different personalities and activating to their level or their workflow or their style. And so, and I've along the way I've met other people too where I've been able to like see their superpower, and I'm just like, hey, how do they do it? So that's something that I'm always out to capture and just kind of pick people's brains, and maybe I can hopefully not to like one person with a superpower. It's my goal.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think, there's so much we can learn from each other, and our work evolves so rapidly, and it's exciting to be able to talk to other people who are in this position and, learn from their experiences. I definitely think one of your superpowers, if I can tag one, is just being so curious. I feel like you've always had just a remarkable ability to really dig into a topic and learn about it and distill very complex information into something that makes sense and is exciting for people to learn about. And so I'm very excited to see where this podcast goes. I can't listen to it and learn from everybody else that you have on.
Exactly. Oh, I'm excited. I'm gonna have some amazing guests that I'm like super stoked for. And yeah, so I'm excited where this goes. Also, too, I think like in the domain of product marketing, you can learn how to do competitive intelligence. You can learn how to do positioning, messaging. Like there's courses out there, but you don't really learn how to interact with people and how to read the room, and how to collaborate, and like when do you bring on X team at this stage, at what time, and how do you communicate to them? And those are all those things where you don't learn until you start the job, because in every company you have different personalities. Everything just changes with that. You introduce entropy into the room, into the mix, and things just go out the window.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I would say honestly that the soft skills are the hardest ones almost. Like it is the thing that you can't learn from a course or in school. Like some of it is innate, some of it you can learn by listening and talking to other people. But I think that's what really makes like strong teams and especially in product marketing, it's often what makes you really good at your job is when you can kind of navigate those relationship side of it and the collaboration side of things. And that can be really tough, and it's not something that you can learn by reading it. You have to learn by doing it. So I love that you said that.
100%, yeah. Awesome. Well, Courtney, thank you so much. Yay.
Wow, this is great. Thank you for having me.
Last thing, actually, where can people find you, and do you have anything that you want to shout out?
Well, people can find me on LinkedIn, Courtney Pellegrini, and also Instagram, Facebook. And I would say, nothing too much to shout out other than keep learning, keep listening, and hopefully keep me moving forward.
Awesome. I'm going to add you on Instagram. I didn't know you had one.
Now we'll be Instagram friends too.
Yeah.
Love it.
Awesome.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
My audio. The expensive audio of my first podcast is recorded from my laptop audio now. I can't even understand. Oh man. I should drink this. Circa. Be right back. Restroom break. Oh, what the? My bad, my bad. What the? All right, chat. Should I get rid of this or not? I don't know if like.
And so last question. Today's episode is sponsored by gtmlabs.io, our very own venture. So good that it's claimed an ad slot for itself.
The. Maybe it's because it's too loud.
At GTM Labs, we see product marketing a little bit differently. It's not just about the product you're selling, but the story you tell. It's the art of capturing attention.
Oh shoot.
Stakeholders. So very interesting to see how we use AI to facilitate that.
Yeah. And so last question. Today's episode is sponsored by gtmlabs.io, ad slot for itself. At GTM Labs.
Bro, so cringe. I don't know why, but advertising myself and my product just doesn't. It's so cringe, bro. But you gotta do it. If you don't believe in yourself, who will? My mom, probably. To be honest, I miss my mom. Actually, how's she doing? Oh, it's late.
Ice cold, Henny Betty, stuff right up.
Okay. So next one we'll do is we'll add the captions. We'll do go to text. Oh, dude. You know what we can also do? I just realized is that so we can sign in and we could here. Oh wow.
All right, yeah. Well, Courtney, thank you again for.
Oh, I think it's it's in white, dude. Oh, it's funny. What the hold up. Okay, let's see. Captions, animation. Text. I wish we could like search by. You can't search, dude. Okay, whatever. Like that. And then let's see the style. I like this one. Yeah, I kind of like this. What font is this? Delta Gothic Bold. Oh shit.
All right, yeah. Well, Courtney, thank you for joining this first episode of Meet the Stakeholders. You are a stakeholder, so I'm glad you're here. I feel like it's been a long time coming. Everyone's always asked, like, do you have a podcast or do you
I know.
on Netflix?
You have had your cool setup with all of your like microphone and everything. That's the longest I've known you. So I've been waiting for this.
Oh, first off, actually, congratulations on making senior product marketing manager. I always knew you had. I knew you were so like. Remember, I told you that text when I left. I was like, I definitely see you.
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, that's it's so nice. Yeah, it's definitely been obviously a journey to get here. But if you want to, I don't know how you want to do it, but I'm happy to give like a little bit of background about like self, I guess, and like your path to be like being a PMM before we get into the questions, or however you want to do it.
Yes, I'm always excited to see how people got into product marketing. It's always interesting to hear that.
Well, I'm happy to share. So, yeah, currently a senior product marketing manager at a tech company. We work to address social determinants of health. It's a software platform that really a lot of different.
I feel like they can cut that out.
Before we get into the questions, or however you want to do it.
Yeah. More. Product more. People got into. Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Excited to see how people got into product. I'm always excited to see how. I'm always excited to see how people got into product marketing. It's always interesting to hear that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm happy to share. So,
actually, congratulations on making senior. I feel like it's been a long time coming. Everyone's always asked, like, who are stakeholders? And I'm glad you're here. Who are stakeholders? And I'm glad you're here. Oh, first off, actually, congratulations on making senior product marketing manager. I always knew you had. I knew you were so like. Remember, I told you that text when I left. I was like, I definitely see you.
yes, I do remember that. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, it's definitely been obviously a journey to get here, but definitely been obviously a journey. But if you want to, I don't know how you want to do it, but I'm happy to give like a little bit of background about like self, I guess, and like your path to be like being a PMM before we get into the question. Oh, it's so nice. And yeah, it's definitely been obviously a journey.
So I'm always excited to see how people got into product marketing. It's always interesting to hear that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm happy to share. So, yeah, currently,
people got into product marketing. It's always interesting to hear that. People got into product marketing. It's always interesting to hear that.
yeah, currently a senior product marketing manager at a tech company. Yeah, current.
What?
A senior.
to hear that.
Yeah, currently a senior product marketing manager at a tech company. We work to address social determinants of health. So it's a software platform that really a lot of different organizations like healthcare providers, government organizations, nonprofits can use to connect people to important resources in the community, things like food support and housing assistance. So they use the technology to not only like connect people to programs, but also track what happened after people leave, for example. So if I'm like a care coordinator and I referred somebody to a food pantry to receive a food box, did they actually get that food box? If not, why didn't they get it? So making sure that people are really getting the right resources at the right time. But just to back up a step, that's what I'm doing now. But I really started out my career as a coordinator, and I was working at the time for a small tech startup, and they had a software platform that helped people start and scale nonprofit organizations. So it was also kind of like within the social impact business realm, or like tech for good, we could call it. I was always really drawn to that type of work and wanted to figure out kind of my place in it. So at the time, I was really on a very small team and wearing all the marketing hats.
Delta Gothic, DG, Delta Gothic bold. I really like the font.
As I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with, I was doing
Honestly, I can put it on top because yo, hold on. Apply to all clips. Yeah. Position. So scale. Position where? What's the difference? Oh. No, I like that. Oh, no. Shadow? No, that looks good. Ooh, curve. Position. Oh, no.
everything for
There we go. And then we could do like at the bottom here, we could do like product marketing at gtmlabs.io, product marketing at Unite Us.
branding to email marketing to content generation. But what I really enjoyed the most, I would say,
I don't know whether to leave it or to. I could probably honestly. Let me see if I can find a sticker. What is this? This is pretty cool. Honestly, let's move it back. This was at what? Negative 700, right? Like if I do negative, it was that 7, yeah, for sure it was 700. Oh. 750? It was like 780. Yeah, that's good. You know what I could do? Is I could do like every here. Move this up.
Product line. I was often spending a lot of dealing directly with product launches and
Oh, it's so
product
easy.
line. And then I think the other thing that I would call out is the difference in just scope of the project and stakeholder management. So at the PMM level, I was often spending a lot of time dealing directly with product launches and working closely with the product for teams like.
That's cool. And then I could do like a text, add text. Maybe like here, and then there. This will go here, like that. And then we could do, so the text is gonna be like that. And that'll be GTM Labs. And then the animation will be, it'll be flash, fold, wobble, tremble. Scrolling? Nope. I need a typewriter. It probably should be in, right? Right, there you go. This. Like that. And then audio. Oh. Dang, there's only one? How do I duplicate? Oh, nice. Let me see, how does that sound?
Do, but we still do, but
Dang, hold on.
still do, but still do, but at the do, but at still do, but at still do, but at the still do.
I feel like I just need this to be a little bit. Animation needs to be slower. Or I can make this longer. Oh, here it is. Dang, I don't know how to do the
Do.
I just need these then. TBH.
Product launches and working closely with the product teams. Product teams, which I still do, but at the well, I'm
Oh, this needs to be $25.
still do, but at
Oh, also I need a whoosh. Um Perfect.
which I still do. Which I still do, but at the senior which I still do, but at which I still do, but at the senior PMM.
How do I make that into a clip? Like, how do I compound that? Can I do that? Oh. Whoa.
Which I still do, but at the senior PMM level, I'm often spending a lot more of my time working across the broader organization. So working with things like, or teams like sales enablement and user support, and working a lot more.
Does it look okay that I don't have a wish at the end?
Which I still do, but at the senior PMM level, I'm often spending a lot more of my time working across the broader organization. So working with things like, or teams.
Damn, hold on. Wait.
Organization.
Oh, shoot.
The broader organization. So working with.
Wait, hold up. What the animation out. There should be a typewriter, right?
Often spending a lot more of my time working across the broader organization. So working with.
Wait, I want to see if there's like an effect animation where it's like you know when you press it, like down. Actually, that might be the closest one to spring. Family sunset blur. There's like a press. Boeing? Nah. Slingshot. Mini zoom, zoom out, slide up, spin out. Well, just, I think it's fine like that. Because then I have to do like the press for the. How does it look like again, the spring? We do like a click button at the end. We'll do this one, like we'll just leave it like that. We'll add a
So we're
oh, I gotta find like a delete, like a backspace. Am I popping? Okay, so just do the honestly, we'll just copy this. So I'm guessing this will be like right here. And then this right here. Wait, hold on.
So working with things like.
There you go. I think
So working with things.
and the same thing for this.
Which I still do, but at the often spend my time across the broader organization. So working with.
Oh, maybe it's like when it's like a clip. No, because it has the audio in it. I slow down the video. I'm slowing down the audio too. There we go.
Which I still do, but at the often spend across the broader organization. So working with like for teams like sales enablement and.
Cool. And then I can like populate this. Like let's say every so that was we'll populate it over here. Oh shoot. That was 6. 12. Another 6 would be like 18. Let's see, how does it look?
Just being so curious, I feel like you've always had remarkable ability dig into a topic and learn about it and distill very complex information into something that makes sense and is exciting for people to learn about. And so I'm very excited to see where this podcast goes. I can't do it. Everybody else that you have on.
Exactly. Oh, I'm excited. I'm gonna have some amazing guests.
That's the perfect time right there. All right. I am done. 155. All right, let's exit off of that. And what we'll do is we will end the stream here. I'm getting tired. Stream for almost 3 hours. Perfect. All right. Good night. So today we accomplished, we did a podcast. We edited basically the whole podcast now. I mean, we're still gonna do some touches. I think tomorrow what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the transcript that is in here into ChatGPT, and we're gonna do two things. One, we're gonna see what kind of animations or pictures we should populate into the video based off of what's being said. We're gonna ask it to, like, based off of what's being said, where are some places that we can add pictures to illustrate a concept, an idea, or a theme? And then we're gonna see where, and we're gonna just like have ChatGPT also create the image, because you can do it in DALL-E now. So that'll be fun. I really want to play around with that. That's gonna be really cool. And then from there, we're also going to. I also had the idea of like turning the questions into like really unhinged, making them more unhinged, so that it's like almost provocative in a way, and or it's more enticing. Like, imagine asking that to like a CEO of a company, and like that's like the first 3 seconds of a TikTok video. That, like, I want to make corporate TikTok videos go viral. Like, if I can make that happen, that'd be awesome. What better way than to piss off a CEO? What better way than to ask like out-of-pocket questions to a co-founder? But I mean, attention is attention, right? Status is status. And there's another thing I wanted to do with the ChatGPT tomorrow. I also wanted to take something with the transcript again, with the transcript, but that's for tomorrow. Yep. All right. Good night.